So it has the same three scenarios where the line can intersect the parabola at two intersection points or 2 points. The line can intersect the parabola at 1 point, or the line can intersect the parabola at no points, meaning they don't intersect at all. So you got to be very careful on how to proceed. Let's do an example here. So let's do example 1. All right, example 1. We got f of x equal to this, g of x equal to that. All you got to do is write equation number 1, write equation number 2, and put a nice big equal sign between them. And that's your first step. Second step, move everything to one side. That's kind of always, whenever you have an equation, 99% of the time, you're going to move everything to one side. Like there might be an exception here and there, but, you know, probably not in grade 11. Okay, let's move the 4x and the negative 10 over. So this is going to be a 1/2 x squared plus 2x minus 4x. Remember, when I bring it 4x over, the operation changes, and minus 8 plus 10 equals 0 since I moved everything over. This becomes 1/2 x squared. Oh, sorry, it's not plus anymore. It's minus 2x. And this is going to be plus 2. This looks just like a parabola in a quadratic equation. And now I can use the quadratic formula to solve for the intersection points. So exactly the same as the previous lesson, except for the initial first step of making the two equations equal and then solving for everything on one side. And now it's the same steps. I just used the quadratic formula. That's why I said they were related, these two lessons, because they're very, very much related. So that's going to be negative b, so positive 2, negative 2 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 1/2. Oh, which reminds me, a, b, and c can be fractions too, right? Like, don't think that they have to be whole numbers. Or decimals, so yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that's right. So this is going to be 2 plus or minus 2 squared is 4, and then it's minus because I know that there's no other negatives, so negative times positive is going to be negative. So 1/2 times 2 is 1, so 1 times 4 is just 4, and 2 times 1/2 is 1, so this literally just becomes 2 plus or minus 0, which is just 2. So what does that mean? That means there's only one x-intercept, because there's only one answer. The answer is 2. Now, how many points of intersections are there? There is 1 point of intersection. And I didn't have to do the whole quadratic formula, but I wanted to do it this way because some students, for some reason, they just can only do one thing. They don't think for themselves for some reason, and realize that there's, better things to do than just use a quadratic formula. But they just, hey, I see a quadratic formula, let me just use it. So what's the easier, faster way? The easier and faster way, because remember, they're not asking you to solve for the point of intersection, they're asking how many. And when something asks how many, you can just use the discriminant. So I can just use b squared minus 4ac, which is this part here. So that's just going to be negative 2 squared minus 4 times 1/2 times 2. And if you do that, that's equal to 0. And since the discriminant is equal to 0, we know that there's only one point of intersection. But the quadratic formula, what it does is it tells us what the actual point is. So it doesn't hurt to do extra, but just so you know, if you wanted to be quicker, you don't have to do that full point. But now in part B, it does say to solve. So eventually we would have to do it anyways. So it's not like you waste time by doing it, because most likely the question is going to ask you to solve for it anyways.